Hello, I'm Paul Pluta. Welcome to the Paul Pluta channel. Paul Pluta channel. This is the greatest luxury wristwatch review channel on YouTube. And I'm doing a paid review because I need the coin. See, paid reviews keep me full-time on YouTube. So you need to keep requesting paid reviews. Otherwise, I gotta get a job. Remember, like, subscribe, tell your friends about the channel. Look in the description for 10 ways you can keep me full-time on YouTube. This is for Kevin. Dear Mr. Pluta, I would like your recommendation on my next watch. I have a 666 Rolex Sea Dweller that I like, but my other watches are boring me, so I'm selling them. They are a Rolex 16570 Polar, it's Explorer 2, and a 145.014 Seamaster. Speedmaster. My budget is less than 9,000. I do not want another Rolex. I want a watch that is horologically interesting. I want a watch that won't F me in the ass when I want to sell it. Vintage or modern is fine. In fact, one of the watches I've been looking at hits all the marks is the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak 14790 ST. But I know you had a lot of problems with yours. It's an open question to you. So I've transferred $75 into your PayPal account because of whatever extra thinking may be involved. I live near New York in America, and I'm spending a week in the city in late July. That's summer for us up there. So I'd appreciate if you could answer my query within the next couple of... Sorry for being slow. I bought a Rolex on 47th Street, a great 6582 Rolex Zephyr. So I'm not afraid of the grey market. Thank you, Kevin. Okay, Kevin, apologies for the lateness. I hope this hits you in time. Now, my advice to you. So you've got a Sea Dweller, 666 Sea Dweller. But your other watch, so you're getting rid of your Polar and you're getting rid of your Speedmaster. Now, I would have said those three pieces, that would be the perfect meal deal. Perfect meal deal. But fair enough, you're selling them. That's okay. That's okay. You've got a budget of 9,000, less than 9,000 US. Okay, what would I buy there? Now, yes, I did have a Royal Oak, Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, 14790 ST. Yes, remember it well. 2,500 US in service repairs. Jesus, I'll never forget that watch. That's for sure. What's my opinion? Now, I honestly would say to you, okay, the AP, it is going to be a bit small, okay? I think it's a 36mm Audemars Piguet. I honestly would say to you, no, I wouldn't buy it. One, any 14790, it's going to be coming up for a service. Quite an expensive thing that is. I would say no, avoid the Royal Oak. And that model, I think it's a wee bit small, especially since you're coming from a Sea Dweller and you had a Polar and you had a Speedy. They're all 40, 42 mil size things. You know, if you're going to jump to a 36, that could be a wee bit small. So I honestly would say to you, my advice to you, what I would do is with $9,000, that's a good budget. It really depends what you want to do. However, now my advice to you would be jump on Chrono 24. Chrono 24. I really would say to you, don't buy in New York. New York is a very, very vicious place. Basically, the dealers will pay you nothing and they sell at the high end. So I'd be trying to move out of... I don't really like buying. I think New York is a very overpriced city to buy anything. I would be jumping on Chrono 24 There's a great dealer in Boston, Massachusetts. That's a European watch. I know a few people who've bought. I've never bought a watch personally from him, but he has a nice selection there. What would I buy? You got $9,000. You got a Rolex Sea Dweller. You got a great. That's a beautiful piece. Sea Dweller. I hope you don't sell that. That is a really cool piece. What would I buy myself if I was in your shoes there? What would I buy? What would I buy? And I got to tell you honestly, okay, I would tend to say, okay, I'd want something a little special. See, we've got the Rolex. That's your good everyday dive watch. I would seriously, for $9,000 mark, I would seriously be looking at something by Jaeger-LeCoultre. I think we could get a very nice Reverso. Okay, so Reverso would be like a dress watch. I've got the Reverso Grand Date. That is a magnificent model. I think that's really, really stunning type of watch. And that would complement your Sea Dweller, So I think a nice, I think you don't have to get a Reverso Grand Date, but if you're going to get a Reverso, I would go Reverso, get a grand size. You don't want the classic size. That's a bit on the small side. That's my opinion there. I think you want to get. Look, you're coming from having a Sea Dweller. You had a Polar, which is 40 mil, and a Speedy, which is that's 42 mil. You don't want to go too small. The AP itself, I'd honestly say stay away from that. There are some really great brands you could go for. Like another alternative is, okay, I've got an IWC. This is an IWC Ingenua. If you wanted a, like a Gerald Gentry design piece, there's more than the Royal Oak. You don't have to just get a Royal Oak. These here, 4 to 5 US. Gerald Gentry design. This is a 322701. I think it's a really, really cool piece to get there. Now, I would seriously say to you, the Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso. I love the Reverso. You want to get a grand Reverso. You don't really want to get the small size. Too small. Now, there are a number of options you can go there. Just having a quick look myself as I'm talking to you on Chrono 24. 9,000. We may not be able to get a precious metal. That may be a little bit, just having a sticky there. It could be a little bit high. We could definitely get a Reverso tribute to 1931. That's a superb piece. Tribute to 1931. We could definitely get, as I said, the Reverso Grand Date. I think that is a superb. I think that is a superb type of piece there. The Grand Date or a Grand Torley. Let's have a look. What can we get a Grand Torley for? A Grand Torley. We can get them. Yeah. That's pretty good. You're gonna get a nice piece there. Under the tent, you can even get yellow gold Grand Torley. Wow, look at this. Here's one for you. This is 8 to 9, 1997. Manual wine Grand Torley, Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso Grand Torley, 18K yellow gold. Oh, it might be. It says unisex. Why is it 24? Oh, that's still a great size. No, that's a great size. So that's about, yeah, that's a great watch to go for. That is really cool. You get a steel one, steel for as low as 5 US, sort of, a grand. You want to get the grand size, the bigger size. You don't want to go for the smaller size. The other thing is, just looking at Reverso Grand Date, a Grand Date. So you can pick one of those up. Really, that's a really swanky. I love that watch. Gold is going to be a little bit dear for the Grand Date, but You can even get it on a bracelet for about $9 US. You know, that's not terrible. Yeah, there's quite a few around this. So I would say myself, if it was me, and you've already, you know, you've already had the Polar Explorer 2, you've had the Speedy, which you said, okay, you're a bit bored with it, you want something different. Maybe keep your Sea Dweller and get a really nice Reverso, Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso. That is a really cool way to go. I can't fault that. I think that's a... See, the Reverso, yes, it's a dress watch. Reverso Grand is a dress watch, but it was originally a sports watch. It was a watch for polo players. They could flip their watch so it wasn't damaged when they were playing polo in India. How regal and sporty is that? So it is a reverse. It is a sports watch. It is a dress watch, but it's got a sporting heritage. And I think that'd be a really cool thing. The other thing is Jaeger-LeCoultre's got some really, if you don't like the Reverso is the rectangular one. If you want to go for, say, a master control, you could get like a moon phase master control. That'd be pretty damn cool. Now with Jaeger-LeCoultre, they are soft. They are soft, so turn that into an advantage. If you get a nice, don't go for a small one. Get one that's big size, nice size. Steel or precious metal. I've got to tell you the truth there. I've got my Patek in precious metal. Precious metal's a very, very tricky thing because it's difficult to live with. I mean, it's beautiful. It feels beautiful, but it's difficult to live with. I love steel. Steel I find is so much easier to live with. Another great thing, can I throw it out there? Okay, another thing you could go for. How about a Breguet Type 20? Breguet Type 20. You get a mint one of those, 5 to 6 US. I mean, that's a chronograph. So that way there, you've got a dive watch and you've got a chronograph. And it's different to the Speedmaster because it's a Breguet. It's haute horology. Really, really cool watch. Really cool watch. Not a lot of coin. So it's something that is, you know, you're still in that steel sports genre, but it's really punching above its weight there. Now, Breguet is terrible. They really plummet like a stone. That's why you've got to buy a Breguet Type 20 on the used market because, you know, they are 11,000 US, 12,000, you know, with a bracelet. So you got to buy it on the used market for half. That's you've got to really understand that Breguet plummets. So maybe that's another alternative. So if you keep the Sea Dweller, agreed with that, keep the Sea Dweller. So your choices are, just to recap, that you said to me, I'd like a video review of your opinion on my next watch, Kevin. Yep. So Kevin, I would say a couple really, really cool choices. I'd stay away from the AP. The AP is too small, and it's also it's a time bomb as far as service goes. And for 9,000, you're probably going to get one that needs a service. Okay, they mainly do need. That's why people are getting rid of the damn things. I would say Jaeger-LeCoultre. You could either go get a grand size, go grand date, grand Torley, or even tribute to 1931. The other option is with Jaeger-LeCoultre is you could go master control. Absolutely beautiful series that there. The other thing is you could go with I was just saying is you could flick. There's brands like IWC. I mean, I'm not trying to force you to buy the same watch I've got, but these are an absolute bargain. The IWC 322701. These were designed by IWC in the early noughties, and the aim was to be above Rolex in price, but give you AP quality. So it's really a bargain. What's happened with the Ingenua line is they've actually made it into, it's gone from being a traditional engineer's watch, which is like a Milgauss with anti-magnetic protection. It's gone to become a driver's watch. They've realigned Ingenua to chronograph driving. I don't understand what the hell IWC was thinking. But these are a relative bargain because these were about 8.5 US 10 years ago, new, all right? So they were priced above Rolex sports watches. And now they're a relative bargain. They got an in-house movement, the 80110 movement. Absolute bargain. So 4 to 5 would get you a US, would get you one of those. The other thing is, as I was saying, was the Breguet Type 20. And it kind of gets you into horology. Breguet Type 20, absolutely shocking retained value. But if you buy it cheap on the secondary market, how are you going to lose? How indeed. So there's a bit of food for thought, Kevin. I'm Paul Pluta doing paid reviews. Tell me what you guys think of that.